UFC 310 was last night, and I'm going to be honest and call a spade, underdelivered. UFC 310 totally underdelivered on the card this weekend. I thought it was going to be a much, much better card. On paper, it was great. Fights kind of just didn't deliver. A lot of the ones we expected to be bangers weren't as good. I am sorry you got that shine that you're dealing with right now. Just should be much better. But we're going to go through the entire card, giving my recap of everything that happened. I went 12-2, should have been 13-1. Volkov got absolutely robbed. Judges were wrong on a couple of different fights tonight. We'll get to the Volkov fight later. There may be another one we talk about that's not Aljo and Evloev. Just going to say that. I think that was scored correctly, but I should have been 13-1. I ended up going 12-2 because the judges don't know what they're doing. Bringing my overall record 315 and 186. But let's just get right into it. I don't want to drag that on too long. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Lucas Bursky. I thought this was going to be a Kennedy decision. I didn't think he was going to have the power to knock out Lucas Bursky, and he was faster than Lucas Bursky, and we saw that early. Not as technical. Kennedy Nzechukwu doesn't look like this absolute killer. I'm going to be totally real with it, but he did catch Bursky with a great right hook and knocked him out. Good win for Kennedy Nzechukwu. Bursky had moments where he was landing. He was trading some low kicks, landing some good ones, landing some good shots of his own. Actually had decent output for a fat guy. And he actually looked in much better shape than he has in prior fights. Just Kennedy Nzechukwu was a little bit better. Just goes to show that, like, heavyweight is the most skillless division, especially outside of the rankings. You got to have some of these light heavyweights that fucking suck at heavyweight or can't stand that suck at light heavyweight or can't move up the rankings at light heavyweight, go up to heavyweight, take a shot at it. Johnny Walker, we're talking about you, buddy. The good win from Nzechukwu, round one knockout. Good way to start the card. This one was pretty fun. Then Chase Hooper and Clay Guida. Told you this was going to happen. I called a guillotine choke just off a bad takedown from Clay Guida, but they kept finding their way to the ground. Like, Chase Hooper wanted to get it to the ground. He got it to the ground, and he would just out jiu-jitsu the bejesus out of Clay Guida. So much better in the grappling. Clay Guida has no idea what jiu-jitsu is. He just spam wrestles, throws crazy hooks, and Chase Hooper gets him in an armbar in this fight. Easy win for him. He had multiple moments where he was transitioning, trying to get the rear naked choke. Then he would go to the armbar, threaten with a guillotine, threaten with a triangle choke, but ultimately the goal was to get to the back and find a rear naked choke or end his way into an armbar submission, and that's what he got. Easy win, layup for him. It's time to give him a test. His grappling is so good. Would love to see how he does a little bit more in the striking now. I want to see him get tested in terms of well-roundedness. I know he slaughtered Slava Claus, but he kind of just landed the overhand left, and the fight was over from then, and Slava dragged it out for a couple rounds, or a round and a half or so. But I think Chase Hooper's good. I'd like to see him take a step up in competition and see how he does against some of the better fighters at lightweight. Not a 42-year-old terrible fighter, but good win from Chase Hooper. Called the submission perfectly in round one. Dominance. Really, really good grappling. Love watching Chase Hooper win. Called this one too. I kept flip-flopping back and forth, and I wanted to pick Max Griffin for a lot of it, but I just thought the IQ of Max Griffin was going to lose in the fight. And to be fair, I don't think he fought dumb. I just think Michael Chiesa found his way to get inside, get his takedowns, and get the choke. I thought Max Griffin's scrambles were pretty decent. I think he did a good job at times of shucking Michael Chiesa off, but at the end of the day, Chiesa got to engage in the clinch more than Griffin would have liked, and he just, through those first few, he edged out the first two rounds by landing a couple of shots that had thud and kind of made you go, whoa, that punch actually had thud on it for Mike Chiesa, because it was like the only punch was getting thrown. So he would throw the strikes, more volume, so it was even enough on the feet, and then he would just implement his grappling and be able to hold Max Griffin against the cage, drag him to the ground for takedowns, and that was winning him the first two rounds. Third round, he goes out there, gets the takedown, gets the submission, rear naked choke, easy win. The way, I will say, he transitioned to the back really quick in this submission. Good work, good win from Chiesa. Yeah, it was a shit fight to watch, though. It really was a shit fight to watch. But Chiesa got the win, got that one right. We're 3-0 in the card. I picked him to win. I bet him to win. We won money. Joshua Van, Cody Durden. I almost nailed this fight. The only thing I didn't get was the round 3 knockout. I think I chose a round 3 knockout, maybe late round 2. I said Joshua Van was going to win 2 out of 3 rounds of this fight. I think he won all 3. I kind of agree with a 30-26 scorecard, honestly, if I'm being real. Like, he beat the fuck out of Cody Durden, especially in that third round, and the visuals were bad because round one, Cody Durden had moments where he could get some takedowns and like actually stay involved, but I do think Van did enough to win round one. Was landing the better shots, landing them more frequently. Dude landed 165 significant strikes in a 3-rounder with grappling involved. There was legitimate grappling involved in this fight. So, I mean, Joshua Van's a problem, bro. He really is. He's really, really good. So, round one, I give to Van. It's a close round, but I give to Van. I thought he just landed better. Round two is where he really started pulling away, starting to tally up strikes. And one of the things that Joshua Van does really well is he's so fast off the counters, and he's fast off of like having punches get followed up by body shots. So he'll throw up top, but he doesn't stop throwing up top. He'll finish to the body, or he'll start to the body and go up top. He mixes his combinations up to different locations really well, where it has people guessing, and when he hits the body, he's digging into the body, and we see this with everyone he fights. They get hit to the body by Josh Van. They don't want to be in there no more. Same thing happened with Edgar Chairez in the last fight. He was getting hit to the body, and he's like, I don't really want to be here. That's what Joshua Van's been doing to people. He's making them quit in the octagon. Now, Cody Durden, tough as nails, staying in there throughout the thing, but he was outmatched. He could not strike with Joshua Van. Round two, he got slaughtered. Round three, he's quitting in there, bro. He's literally quitting. He's taking shots, and then he's having these moments where he's like trying to get takedowns, and then just so he can like take a rest on the ground for a second, Joshua Van calls him back up, and he kind of stands like he's laying down, staring at Joshua Van, then staring at the referee, and then slowly making his way back to the feet. There were so many moments in that third round that I thought Van was just teeing off and was going to have a finish. He didn't get it. But it was a great performance, looked really, really good. Joshua Van is welcomed to a top 15 ranking near you. Really, really good performance. This is one of the fights on the card that I actually really liked. High output. Cody Durden stayed in there. True warrior. Joshua Van is a fucking monster. Problem at flyweight, even at the age of 23. I will say, Joshua Van is primed to get chinned by another uppercut soon. It's happening in all the fights. Edgar Chairez caught, now we know Charles Johnson knocked him out with one. Edgar Chairez caught him with a couple. Early in this fight, Cody Durden was looking for those uppercuts, and he was hitting them. He really was, and we'll get to Doo Ho Choi's lead uppercut, which was fucking beautiful later. Another good underdog win there, but we go 4-0 in the card. Joshua Van looked great. He's got to learn to defend against that uppercut. He's fought very actively. He's fought 3 times since May. He went May, September, December. Would love for him to take 5-6 months off, come back in June of next year, at the beginning of June, refresh chin, more skills. He's probably still going to be 23 years old. He's got time. Let's not push him too quick. Eric Anders, Chris Weidman. Interesting one here. Chris Weidman won the first round, took an illegal knee, shook it all out. Listen, no one deserves an illegal strike, but Chris Weidman won his last fight by eye poke, so eye poke KO, which is crazy. So Eric Anders hits him with the illegal knee, get his wits about him. They stand there and they kind of geek at range for a second. And then Weidman hits him with a punch that knocks him down, and Weidman wins the first round. Fumbles a finish, has Anders hurt, and just doesn't get the finish. That's what happens when you're 40. The killer instinct isn't necessarily there anymore. But he fumbles a finish, then round 2 comes around, and they're just trading failed takedowns back and forth. To a point where they're standing on the feet. Weidman jumps a guillotine and accepts being on bottom like a fucking idiot. I don't know why we're doing this. If you jump guillotine and you don't have longer limbs than the other guy and you aren't a Chase Hooper who is so dangerous on the ground that it doesn't matter who's on top of you, they'll find a way back up or into a dominant position. Don't fucking pull guard. Don't fucking jump guillotines. If you are not a Chase Hooper that will immediately find his way to the back, if you don't have elite jiu-jitsu skills like that, don't jump guillotine. So Weidman jumps guillotine because, the low IQ move, accepts bottom position, accepts being on ground, and then Eric Anders just gets to ground and pound and beat his ass for all of round 2. Eric Anders gets a TKO in the last 9 seconds of the round. Weidman should retire. Weidman and Guida, both guys that should retire. Anthony Smith, we'll get to him in a minute, should retire. Eric Anders beat his ass in round 2, got the knockout win. First fight he got wrong on the card, and it was looking good. Weidman should have won. He just fumbled the finish. Idiot. Moving on. Y'all know I love Bryan Battle. I really do. Love his skills on the mic. He stayed heel. Love his fight style, usually. I kind of think he lost the fight. I kind of think he lost this fight. This fight went exactly how I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to be very close. A lot of work in the clinch. Bryan Battle was going to get the decision. I thought he was going to clearly win it, but I thought he was going to win 2-1. Randy Brown making it close. Said there was a good chance Randy Brown can win this. I thought he won rounds 1 and 3. I thought the only round Bryan Battle got... Now there is an argument for Bryan Battle to get 3. This is not a robbery by any means. I will say that. It's not a robbery. I just thought Randy Brown did more damage in round 3, and I understand that Bryan Battle was pretty active in the clinch there, but I don't know that I think I give him the round. Like, I'll watch it again. I'll see what I think again. But watching that live, I think we all agree that Randy Brown got round 1, looked better on the feet, was better defending the clinch, had his moments, right? Was doing good, staying on the outside, landing his shots. But round 2, Randy Brown loses this round. I thought Randy Brown's worst round was round 2, and Bryan Battle did a good job, was landing his shots, was dominating in the clinch, could not get a takedown, but was holding his position. And I will say, Battle, we like you a lot because your style and your aggression, dude, I don't want to see any more holding against the cage in these fights, bro. When are the refs going to step in and be like, yo, you guys have to fight, you can't stall? Because it felt like it was stalling, and Bryan Battle never struck me as the guy that was going to stall out a fight, but I was not that impressed. Now, I think this was just an off performance from Bryan Battle. I'll be brutally honest. I think he's much better than he performed tonight. I think the weight miss might have had something to do with it. He might have something going on. Still went and cut a great promo on the mic. Totally cool with it. Love to see that, especially if you put on a shit performance like that and you're playing heel on the mic. Good. That's what you should be doing. Get people interested again. But I just watched this fight and I'm expected more out of Bryan Battle. He got the win. I just thought he lost round 3. I thought Randy Brown did more in terms of damage, but Bryan Battle was active in the clinch. They gave him the fight. It is what it is. He missed weight. I think this was just an off performance from Bryan Battle, though. I think he'll bounce back. I think he'll look better in his next fights, but wasn't overly impressed here. Now I'm going to tell you guys right now, the judges actually got this right. I think they did. I think Aljo won round 1, and I think 100% that is correct. I think we all agree Movsar won round 2. And I think round 3, Movsar wins round 3 because I thought at the end he was more active with the control. He was more active in landing more damage. Now, he did land more strikes, not significant strikes, but he landed more strikes, and I think that's kind of what won him the fight here when you look and I called this perfectly. People thought it was crazy. What do you mean Aljo's going to out-grapple Movsar, bro? Movsar, he's got the EV in his last name, or the OEV in his last name. He's going to dominate in the grappling. Dude, Aljo looked way better in the grappling than Movsar did. Movsar had great moments where he was able to scramble and had reverse position and stuff like that. But Aljo out-grappled Movsar Evloev. The problem was, when Movsar Evloev would have dominant position in the grappling, he would try and do something with it, where Aljo would kind of stall it out and make sure he was in dominant position. He went control and position over submission or damage. Evloev, while he wasn't necessarily going for submission or crazy damage, he was landing punches when he was in dominant control, and that's what makes his control more valuable, is he was actually landing strikes during it. I think it was the right decision. I hated the fight style. Now, scrambles were great. This was, while a little bit boring, high-level MMA. Things were happening at all points in this. The scrambles were great. The grappling was great. It was a little boring, but I actually enjoyed watching. I had an appreciation for the scrambles in this fight because you just see how high-level it is. I think Movsar won the fight. I thought he won rounds 2 and 3. A lot of people aren't going to agree with me, but I think when people go watch that back, it's going to be one of those things where You go back, and I don't know a fight that a lot of people thought was a rout. Like, we talk about Volk and Islam. People say it was a clear win for Volk. It's not that clear. I think it's going to be one of those ones where people go back and they start to accept. I think Evloev did win that fight. Rounds 2 and 3, I just thought he did more when he was in control. Now, I think that Aljo did have more control at times in the grappling, but I think Evloev was doing more with his control, and that's where I give Evloev the fight. Thought he won 29-28, thought it was the right decision. Doesn't get him itself a title shot, though. Like, I gotta say, dude, these aren't performances that are worthy of title shots. We'll see. I'd like to see him. You know what? I'm not going to spoil it. Go watch Matchmaking coming out tomorrow to see what I'm doing with Evloev, because I get a great idea. But more importantly, Vicente Luque's back. Are we serious, guys? Come on, I told you. Underdog pick, nailed it. I told you. Vicente Luque's that guy. He is. Monster. Looked better in the striking than Themba. And I'm telling you, when they get into these clinch positions, like, Luque's strong enough and good enough technically to shrug Themba off. Themba's not going to be able to fucking crotch sniff his way to a victory against Luque, bro. He's not. So what happens? 52 seconds into the fight, they're sitting there, they're testing out the range. Luque's kind of shrugging off any clinch. Luque just goes 1, 2, sits Themba right down, snatches up a Darce choke, immediately gets a submission. That Darce choke is so good. They called it an anaconda. I swear to God, I thought I saw a Darce. I don't know why they're calling it an anaconda choke. All right, any jiu-jitsu guys, can you leave a comment telling me what choke you thought that was? Because I felt very confidently that that was a Darce choke. I saw the way the arm was slid underneath, so I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but please, someone in the comments, let me know what choke that was. Because I thought it was a Darce. I really did think that was a Darce choke. But it was a great win from Vicente Luque. Gets the submission after knocking down Themba Gorimbo. Showed that there are levels to the game. And, dude, showed that he's back. Like Gilbert Burns was talking about on the Show Me the Money podcast, which you need to watch. Great show. But he was saying how dialed in Vicente Luque is. And I know how everyone says that, but, like, he looked dialed in. He looked like he was ready to come back and fight. Now, I don't know how Luque will look against a significant power puncher, somebody that can really hurt him on the feet. But when he's getting these matchups against guys that aren't that technical on the feet, aren't that good, and really want to wrestle him the whole time, I'm going to take Luque all day. Because his submission game's great, his get-ups are great, he's physically strong, and he's probably better at striking than them. So I'm going Vicente Luque on those all day. Great win. He's so back. Round 1 sub. Performance of the night. Dom versus Anthony Smith. Am I crazy to tell you this fight should have been stopped way earlier? Because Anthony Smith quit. Like, round 1, Anthony Smith sit there and got gritty. He did. He was going for it at moments. Round 2, he was just the classic 2-on-1 wrist control, trying to survive and not die. Every single time, dude. Mark God, and kudos to Anthony Smith for this, but it was dreadful to watch. It's Anthony Smith getting his ass beat in ground and pound by Dominic Reyes. Wow. And then Mark Goddard going, move, fighter. Hey, buddy. And then Anthony Smith, 2-on wrist control, moves, shrugs up, stays in that position, gets beat up there. Move, fighter. 2-on wrist control, shifts to this angle, and gets beat up on in that position. And that was just rinse and repeat for all 4 minutes of round 2. Dominic Reyes beat his ass. Plain and simple. Feel bad, man. Anthony Smith's going through some shit on this fight week, but at some point, it's time to call it, brother. Like, you're not on that level with these guys right now. You're not. Dom Reyes is better. He proved it. And the title run rolls on for Dom Reyes, baby. Let's fucking go, dude. Let's go. Come on, dude. We all want to see Dom win. Dom won. Huge. Dude, tonight was a big night for the fan favorites, the comebacks. The title run starts now kind of guys. Big night. Vicente Luque, big comeback. Dom Reyes, big comeback. We all wanted Josh Van, big win. We all wanted Brian Battle, got his robbery. But wasn't a robbery. But it was a great night for these guys. And Dom Reyes, dude, absolutely put it on Anthony Smith, beat him up just like we thought. Great performance from Dom Reyes. It should have been stopped earlier. It was uncomfortable to watch. Anthony Smith, man, it's time to retire, bro. You have a job on the commentary desk. You do not need to be doing this. You don't. It's time to retire. It's over. Spend some time with your family, bro. I thought this was a good fight. It was dominance, but I thought it was a fucking scrap because Doo Ho Choi beat his ass for 3 rounds. Now, I told you Doo Ho Choi was just better when it came to being on the feet, better. And I also said that Doo Ho Choi has been making tremendous improvements in his grappling, and we saw that at times in his last fight, where he was able to get takedowns and defend takedowns. But we know his boxing's better. He's got more pop on his shots. And Doo Ho Choi, one of those guys, fan favorite, got the win. Doo Ho Choi's so back. He looked better than he looked in his prior run when he was fighting Cub Swanson. He did. He looked so good. Dominated Nate Landwehr. Striking. Wrestling. Grappling. Dominated him everywhere. It was crazy. He was getting good back position. Then he got a crucifix and he finished with elbows from a crucifix position on Nate Landwehr. Sick win. Doo Ho Choi's boxing was so good. He was fast, powerful, wasn't getting tired. He was making Nate Landwehr, who weaponizes cardio, get tired. Amazing performance. Amazing performance. So happy to see that win there from Doo Ho Choi. And the only thing to talk about, guys, like, just watch this fight. All he did was beat his ass for 3 rounds. It's literally all he did. Stood there. They were trading shots. Nate Landwehr was barely landing at times. When he wanted to swing crazy, he had a couple moments, but he was never really catching Doo Ho Choi with anything fearful. Everything Doo Ho Choi has landed on Landwehr. Landwehr's face was busted up a minute and a half into this fight. Like, busted up. The hooks were landing. Dude, the lead uppercut from Doo Ho Choi was nasty. Nasty, dude. He would sit there and he would just time it, land it. And Nate Landwehr could not stop it for the life of him. Couldn't stop it. It was there all fight, landing it really, really well. Amazing performance from Doo Ho Choi. I was so happy to see it. Dude's so back. He's so back. That's the kind of performance over a Nate Landwehr who's just outside the rankings that gets you a ranked opponent. Give me Doo Ho Choi versus Calvin Kattar. Give me Doo Ho Choi versus Dan Ige. Give me Doo Ho Choi against a top 15 guy ranked 10 to 15. I'm ready for it. He's back, bro. What is he, 3-fight win streak? 2-fight win streak? The draw to Kyle Nelson, and then 2-fight win streak after that. Key KOs in both. Against Bill Algeo and Nate Landwehr. Those are good wins. Great wins for featherweight. Moving on. Told you guys there was no place for Kron Gracie in MMA. He sucks, dude. He literally sucks. I'm not going to spend time on this fight. I don't even want to give it time of day. It was so fucking boring. This was Bryce Mitchell standing on the feet, outlanding Kron Gracie winging like a tard and missing every single punch. Bryce Mitchell getting up close, Kron Gracie jumping, wrapping his legs around him like it's the Notebook, and then just pulling guard and going to the ground. Like he's begging Bryce Mitchell to, can you please lay on top of me? Soy, questionable. Kron Gracie, suck. You're out of the sport. Get him cut. Dana in the post-fight press conference was trying to get goaded into saying terrible things about Kron Gracie. We know he wasn't impressed, but Dana called out the reporter. Dana, I agree, I don't like reporters goading you into stuff, but you know what? When it comes to Kron Gracie, fucking crucify him. Crucify him. He is so bad, has no place in MMA, and we put him on the pay-per-view against Bryce Mitchell. This is why we were all angry. This is why we didn't want to see it. Bryce Mitchell in round 3 finally is able to posture up and land an elbow that knocks out Soy Kron Gracie. Great win from Bryce Mitchell. Underwhelming performance. Doesn't give him a chance to jump up in the rankings, I feel. I think he still needs to defend his ranking spot against someone that isn't shit. Good win from Bryce Mitchell, though. Not that impressive, but he got the knockout. Kron Gracie sucks. Cut him. I don't care about his last name. Highway robbery. Highway robbery. Volkov won rounds 2 and 3. You can't convince me otherwise. I don't know how someone can score this fight for Ciryl Gane. Now, I bet on Ciryl Gane to win by split decision because I said they're going to give Gane a decision. I told you guys in this video, we're going to watch this fight collectively. I called this perfectly, dude. We are going to watch this fight collectively and say that Alexander Volkov won. But Gane's going to get a split decision because they need Gane to fight Aspinall over Volkov rematching Aspinall in case John Jones bitches out. So what happened in this fight? Gane won round 1. Close, but won round 1. Volkov won round 2. Mind you, by outstriking and outgrappling Ciryl Gane. And then the same thing happened in round 3. A lot less striking in round 3, but Volkov won round 3 by out-grappling and out-striking Ciryl Gane. He won. Right in front of our eyes. And I said that Gane was going to get the robbery. But I picked Volkov because I said, on the off chances the judges aren't shit tonight, I'm going to roll with Volkov. They were shit. I was right about that. So while I got the pick wrong, I kind of got it right. We're counting it as an L, but deep down, anyone that's watching, anyone that's been following the channel, you know that's a win. If you watch the prediction video, you know I called that fucking perfectly. Can I get a fucking some kind of respect call on this fight in the chat, please? Can someone please comment on this and just say respect, dude? I just want my flowers. Volkov won. Gane got gifted a decision. Volkov won that clearly, rounds 2 and 3. I don't know how anyone can actually score it for Gane. And Dana White was upset about the decision as well. He apologized to Volkov. I say you reward Volkov by giving him a more approachable fight than Ciryl Gane gets. Give Ciryl Gane Sergey. Winner of Sergey versus Rosenstrike. Give Volkov... I don't know. Give Volkov what Volkov wants other than a title shot. Because, he won that fight. He really did. It's just, he got screwed over so bad. Great, good performance from Volkov. He won the fight. Clearly, they gave it a Gane. Robbery. That's robbery. Brian Battle and Randy Brown isn't a robbery. It's a close fight. And there was a close round between them, but this was a robbery. Moving on. Shavkat Rakhmonov, Ian Gary, dude, they stunk up this fight, man. They stunk it up. Not impressed. I'm more impressed with Ian Gary than I am Shavkat Rakhmonov. I actually don't think it was Ian Gary that stunk up this fight. I think it was Shavkat that did it. Ian Gary was looking good on the feet. Shavkat was looking at moments like he won the first 2 rounds clearly because he was kind of just neutralizing Ian Gary by holding him against the cage, and then when they would separate, he would land the big shots that were going, whoa. And Ian Gary's head kind of spins back, but Ian Gary's might got a little bit of a better chin than I'm used to, than I expected. Shavkat won 3-2, not impressive at all. Not at all. He won 1, 2, and 4. Gary won 3 and 5. It was pretty obvious that fight, but rounds 1 and 2 were Shavkat holding Ian Gary against the cage the whole round. Ian Gary would have moments where he would reverse. Shavkat would reverse back. He landed a couple knees. When they would separate, he landed the big right hand, and then round 2 would start. Same thing happens in round 2, except he lands like a spinning back fist instead of a right hand. Round 3, Ian Gary's able to have his own success in the clinch, but able to keep it at range more, land the jab, land the low kicks, land the oblique kicks, and he's looking good. He's like, oh my God, is he going to all of a sudden start to pull this out against Shavkat Rakhmonov? Round 4 comes around. Shavkat finally shoots a takedown that goes at the legs and not at the body like a fucking idiot. The whole fight, Shavkat's literally shooting at the shoulders for takedowns. Shoot at the legs, you will get them. But no, I don't think Shavkat's a high IQ fighter. I think he's super talented, super skilled, but he stunk this one up. And this one, to me, he lost aura. So people are like, Shavkat's the boogeyman of the division. Boogeyman of the division, the future of the division. Round 5, Ian Gary won, but we all saw that fight clearly, 48-47. Boring, not much to talk about, but what I do want to talk about is everyone's talking about Shavkat, the future of the division. I think in a rematch, Ian Gary will find a way to beat Shavkat. I think Bilal beats Shavkat right now, and I think he beats Ian Gary right now. The future of the welterweight division is Jack Della Maddalena. Y'all want to talk about, Shavkat Rakhmonov 18 finishes. He's so fun to watch. He was. He stunk it up against Wonder Boy. And now he stunk it up against Ian Gary in 5 rounds. Jack Della Maddalena never stinks it up. Jack Della Maddalena is the real entertainer of welterweight. Jack Della Maddalena is the real future champion of welterweight. He's the guy. It's not Shavkat. I honestly think that Bilal Muhammad is going to be able to dump Shavkat 12 times in a fight. I think Bilal Muhammad might even get a finish against Shavkat Rakhmonov. I'm going to say it. I think he's going to put on a crazy pace, crazy pressure, but we'll get to that when we do predictions. They faced off. It's funny because Joe Rogan goes, security doesn't know who Bilal Muhammad is. You don't need to treat Bilal like that, bro. Come on. Sad. But yeah, not impressed by Shavkat. More impressed by Ian Gary. Ian Gary almost got the choke in round 5. That would have been a fucking... Would have loved to see what the universe looked like where Ian Gary submitted Shavkat Rakhmonov in round 5 there. Would have been crazy, but Ian Gary got a lot of respect from me in this fight. He did. Still think he's a cock. Don't love it, but he got respect. Shavkat lost a lot of aura. Speaking of aura, first of all, Kaya Sakura is fun. Flying knees, fast striking, super good fighter. Pantoja's that guy. Pantoja's making his case for the greatest flyweight of all time. And I know DJ is there. Pantoja's kind of like doing that thing where he's racking up the more important wins than DJ racked up. Where like, we're going to start to have this conversation with another couple defenses. Because I don't think Pantoja's ever getting to 12. But I don't see anyone that's going to beat Pantoja other than if DJ comes back and looks like prime DJ. He called out DJ. I would have loved to see it. But pretty much what happened in this fight is Kaya Sakura lands a flying knee early. Pantoja eats it like a Tic Tac and relentlessly goes for takedowns. Pantoja, as he's chasing, lands a left hook that drops Kaya Sakura. Doesn't get the knockdown, but it drops him to a knee. And then he shoots in and he gets the takedown. He dominates in the grappling. They get back to the feet. Pantoja has his moments. Kaya Sakura's landing. He's having his moments. But at the end of the day, gets to round 2. Like a dog with a bone, Pantoja hunts, gets his takedown, gets the back, submits Kaya Sakura. Was a second from having Kaya Sakura sleep. Kaya Sakura was falling asleep when they stopped the fight. His arm goes limp. And then the second he lets go, he like kind of came to, was like, oh, I did just get choked out, didn't I? Fuck. Great performance from Pantoja. The aura is off the charts. Dude, pay DJ $5 million to come back and fight this guy. Do it. It's a sick fight. It's the one that we want to see, because other than that, you're just going to get Kai Kara France and Brandon Royval fighting for a rematch, or fighting themselves, fighting each other in a rematch just to get a rematch with Pantoja. Now, I think Kaya Sakura can get 2 more wins and go back to the title shot, but he's got to rack up some wins. I think Kaya Sakura is one of the best in the division still. He had moments of being very impressive, but dude, Alessandro Pantoja is the hardest fight to enter into the UFC and take. So kudos to Kaya Sakura for coming out here, selling a pay-per-view, like giving us moments where he almost knocked out Pantoja out, but Pantoja don't get knocked out like that. You guys know it. This is the UFC 310 recap and breakdown. Pantoja's that dude, but card under-delivered. Volkov got robbed. We all know it, but it's nature of the beast sometimes, man. It sucks. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe.